In the new Fallout series, one character is coming more and more into the spotlight, Robert Edwin House. That's why in this video, I want to tell you the whole story of Robert House, how he grew up and why he acted the way we see in the new TV series. Of course, there will be some spoilers here, so you've been warned. If you must, perhaps simply get rid of your friends. Robert Edwin House was born on the 25th, on the date of June 2020 in the city of Las Vegas, Nevada. His childhood almost immediately ends in tragedy. When he is 2 years old, his parents die in an accident involving a gyrocopter, a small rotor-driven aircraft, and a lightning strike. These play a major role. Unfortunately, no further details are known. After that, House not only loses his family, but also what would have given him a sense of security. His half-brother Anthony House takes advantage of the inheritance. And Robert grows up with the feeling that something that rightfully belonged to him was taken away. From this early rupture, a pattern emerges that shapes his entire life. House never wants to be dependent again. He wants control, and he wants to build it in such a way that no one can ever take it from him again. He leaves Las Vegas, not because he hates the city, but because he thinks bigger. In Boston, he works and studies at the Commonwealth Institute of Technology, CIT, a technical elite institution. And it is precisely there that he shapes his self-image as a genius, who doesn't just endure problems but solves them. In 2042, at just 22 years old, he founds RobCo Industries. Over the following decades, RobCo becomes one of the most powerful technology corporations of the pre-war world. Robotics, computer technology, and software from RobCo become so widespread that their traces can still be found everywhere in the wasteland, even after the apocalypse. House doesn't just use his success to become rich, but to put himself in a position where he no longer has to rely on anyone else. Money as a tool, technology as leverage, planning as a weapon. By no later than 2065, House stops seeing the world as a market and instead sees it as a system on the verge of collapse. He develops mathematical models that analyze global politics and economic tensions. As a result, he arrives at a prediction that he later explains himself in the Lucky 38 in Fallout New Vegas. A nuclear war, he says, is practically unavoidable within the next 15 years or so. For House, this isn't the end of the world in an emotional sense. It's a countdown that allows him to carefully plan the next stage of his control. His intentions are clear. He doesn't want to save the whole world. He wants to save Las Vegas and position himself as the one who will determine the rebuilding after the fire. In the TV series, this pre-war era becomes more tangible because House appears there as a real person in scenes where the powerful of the time discuss their options. In a secret circle around Vault-Tec, the idea is raised that, if necessary, they could ensure the downfall themselves by dropping the bombs themselves. Bob is also part of this group, an influential Vault-Tec figure and the wife of Cooper Howard. This is important for the backstory because it shows that, for this elite, nuclear war is not just a fear, but also a tool to control the future. House sits at the table of the powerful in this world, not as a Vault-Tec employee, but as someone powerful enough to play in such circles. House shares his knowledge about the future with the world's elite. In both the TV series and the game, it is never made entirely clear who actually started the war in the end, although it seems that Robert was betrayed because the bomb was detonated too early, but more on that later. Whether Vault-Tec really started the war is still a question that remains unresolved, and it probably won't be answered in the series either. In any case, House decides to carry out his own plan, to go through with it independently of everyone else. He equips Las Vegas with a missile defense and protection network designed to intercept and destroy incoming warheads. He also has an army of highly advanced robots built, the Securitrons. For newcomers, you can think of them as a combination between police force and military, only fully mechanical and remotely controlled. And while others are preparing their bunkers, House goes even further. He transforms himself into a cyborg, a human whose survival is tied to technology. In the Lucky 38, his casino tower, he installs a life support chamber where his body is preserved and maintained, while his consciousness and control are connected to a massive computer system. With this, House aims to achieve what would otherwise be impossible. He doesn't just want to survive the war, but remain capable of action for centuries. The crucial point of his plan is a single, essential component, the platinum chip. To most outsiders, it might sound like a luxury item, but in reality, it is actually a highly secure data carrier with a critical software upgrade, a system update that brings the Securitrons and the central part of the defense system to an optimal level. The chip is completed on the 22nd of October 2077. The delivery is scheduled for the afternoon of the 23rd of October 2077, but then the Great War breaks out. And Howe's most famous miscalculation becomes reality. He was off by several hours in his calculation, missed the mark. In the game, he later describes it as 20 hours short, 20 hours too late. Without the chip, his systems run less stably. There are failures. And although he manages to fend off most of the attacks on Las Vegas, a few bombs still hit. Las Vegas survives, but not completely unscathed. And House survives as well, but his entire system is so overloaded that he falls into a long coma. In the year 2138, House is reactivated more or less by accident. He's still there, but he doesn't show himself. He stays in the Lucky 38 because he knows that he is physically vulnerable and that his influence depends on machines. He observes in silence. The wasteland waits for the moment when the world once again offers something that can be shaped. Trade, power blocks, infrastructure. That moment comes in the year 2274 when the NCR, the New California Republic, reaches the Mojave, and scouts appear at Hoover Dam. For newcomers, it's important to know the New California Republic is a new state with an army and administration. And the Hoover Dam is a huge power plant, so whoever controls it basically controls the energy in the land. House immediately realizes that if the NCR uses the dam again, New Vegas can get electricity, industry, light, all the things that distinguish a city from a campfire in the wasteland. At the same time, he wants to prevent the NCR from simply taking over the strip at any cost. So he sends his security drones onto the streets and makes it clear New Vegas has a master. Between 2274 and 2281, this leads to the New Vegas we see in the games. House shapes local groups into the three families, the chairman, Homitas, and the White Glove Society, and lets them run the casinos. For the residents and visitors, it feels like luxury and freedom, but at its core, it still houses control. The families are the facade, the robots are the glue holding it all together. During this phase, the agreement with the NCR is also made, often referred to as the New Vegas Treaty. The NCR is allowed to operate in the region and benefits indirectly from the Strip, while New Vegas remains an autonomous economic zone. House uses the NCR as an engine for energy and trade, but he refuses to become their property. Vault 21 also becomes part of his strategy. House wins the vault through gambling and extracts important technology, which he integrates into his system. Some parts of the vault are later used as a hotel. This is not done out of sentimentality, but rather because it is ultimately more profitable. And it makes New Vegas more attractive. Everything that exists in House's realm must serve a purpose: order, revenue, and stability. But despite everything, there remains a gap in his empire: the platinum chip. Since its loss on October 23, 2077, It has been the key that could finally complete House's system. And when the chip finally resurfaces in the year 2281, House does everything he can to get it back. He deliberately makes the delivery complicated, with distractions, multiple couriers and safeguards, because he has learned that information in the wasteland can be deadly. The most important courier is Courier 6, the player character of Fallout New Vegas. But once again, the pattern repeats itself. Right before reaching the destination, the courier is ambushed. Benny, a boss of the chairman, steals the chip. The betrayal hits House especially hard, because Benny isn't just any bandit. He's part of House's own organization. Benny hopes to use the chip to gain access to the power of the strip himself. He's helped by Yes Man, an unprogrammed Securitron who can pass on information through a backdoor. House learns about the ambush from Victor, a Securitron in the Good Springs area. And Victor reports the second message, which immediately makes House start calculating. Courier 6 has survived. That changes everything. House is not able to leave his chamber. He can't just act personally, and without the chip, his army isn't at the level he needs. So he does what he always does. He turns chaos into an equation. The courier becomes the variable he can use. House invites Courier 6 to the Lucky 38 and offers a deal. Not out of friendship, but out of necessity. The courier possesses something that House's machines cannot replicate. Freedom to move through the wasteland, the ability to improvise human decisions. And so, in the year 2281, the part begins where House's future becomes open. Because Fallout New Vegas allows for multiple endings. The courier can support House and make him the undisputed ruler, or eliminate him. That's exactly why the TV series also emphasizes that it doesn't want to definitively establish a single New Vegas ending. The man who survived the apocalypse can fall because of a single decision, or see his visions realized. So in the end, Robert House remains what he always was. Not a hero, not a savior, but an architect. A man who saw the world as a system, who pulled Las Vegas out of the apocalypse through planning and machines, and who was willing to subordinate everything to one goal: to build a new future that belongs to no one but himself. I'm pretty curious to see what else we'll learn in the TV series, perhaps things that go beyond the games. Will the TV series really tell the end of Robert, or, as the games do, leave it open? That remains the big question. At this point, thank you very much for listening, and feel free to check out the channel. There are plenty more tasty videos there. So until next time.